talking about right there. You know, when I was a kid, the only thing that was cool was transition skating, was pool skating. I mean, I didn't want to freestyle. I didn't want to do 360s. I didn't want to, you know, go down hills and go through cones. It really didn't appeal to me. What appealed to me was just surfing on land, and so it was about doing the biggest spray you can. So in skateboarding, I just wanted to grind the hardest. Watching Tony Alva do the first airs and everyone after that, all we wanted to do was catch air, see how high we could, you know, get on our skateboards.
We instantly felt that skateboarding was kind of like an emotional feeling or a roller coaster, or, you know, push your limits or get scared. And to me, that was a lot more interesting than being technical and doing tricks. 15 seconds to go. So we were raised in pool contests. And when we started, there was age groups, which they really broke people up. The pros at that time were funny because the pros ranged from 13 to 20. So the pro groups span that whole thing, and we're sitting back thinking we're like 10 years younger than those dudes. But some of us were the same age or even older than some of those guys.
Bring them on, Pat Noho from Functional Advice. Yeah! 16, Josh Martinez. 17, Shogo Tubo. 18, Dave Ferry.
You know, the people I looked up to at the park were probably Jay Adams, Tony Alva, all the even Pat Noho was a huge influence on me because they were a lot older than me. And then we didn't have any instruction. You know, there was no one to look at doing it, so as kids, we would just see the picture in the mag and go, how'd he get there? I think he went like this, and then we'd try it, and it'd be totally the wrong way of doing it, but we came up with a different trick because we tried something, you know, that we thought it was, and it ended up, you know, being, you know, done a different way. We were just super young, super small, but yet had, like, I guess this new, approach to skateboarding. It was all like kind of air driven. I mean, Cab was already super advanced for how big he was. I mean, he was a small guy doing all the major tricks.
Independent Prop.
When I turned pro and I started getting some notoriety in skateboarding was dying. The whole media and everything was not around anymore, you know, so we actually built our own scene.
Yeah, in the mid-'80s, there were maybe a handful of parks, you know. The last two were Del Mar and Upland, so those were always really great, you know, events. They would put the bleachers up around the pool, and it was just so concentrated, so there was a lot of energy there. And I mean, and everybody in the skate world was there. Back in those days, there weren't a lot of people. There were, you know, maybe 30 pros.
You know, it had a mix of the dudes that I grew up kind of looking at, like Dwayne Peters, Eddie Elguera. So like kind of the late 70s guys, and then you had your newer guys coming in like Billy Ruff, Neil Blender, Lance Mountain, Tony Hawk, Lester Kasai. For me, just to see that like kind of mix was pretty monumental, because the next year, like Dwayne and those guys weren't in any of the events anymore. So they kind of faded out, and this new group kind of came in that kind of reinvigorated skateboarding through the 80s, and that all went down at Del Mar.